Hey everyone, welcome to Weekend Project. This is Laura Lynn of the Mom and Pop Quilt Shop. We're working on block number 3. You know what we're doing, so just come back. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to the Mom and Pop Quilt Shop. Laura Lynn, working on block number 3. I'll show you right here. We're doing a 9-block series. This is number 3. It's called Sparkle Star. And what I had to do is copy, where is it, on page 72 here? And I copied it 4 times just on my printer copier. Okay. So what you have to do is cut the section into 2 and do paper piece, just like we did on the last one. Okay. This is the side you're looking at, and then that's the side you're going to put your fabric up against. Okay. So easy peasy, we got this. Okay, so I've already done 2 sets already. So that's half the little sparkle star right there of my purples and blacks. And I chose this other little, I had left over from another project, and I don't know, I liked it. Gave a little pizzazz. Okay, so that's where we're still sticking within the color scheme, not going too crazy. So I've got the other one here. I'm just going to do a little stitch, putting the 2 sections together, sewing through the paper all the way. Okay, and then cutting the thread, and there we go. Okay, so we're gonna make 1 more of those, and then we're done. And when we sew those 2 together, and then those 2 to these 2 together, and then we're rocking. Okay, so easy peasy. Just a little finger press there to leave it, so you can take a look at it as we're working along here. Don't get too distracted. Got work to do. Okay, so take one of your little sections that you have left over. Okay, so this is white print, but I'm using this swirly gray, and it also matches the gray that I did to the backing of the sister's quilt went in March. So I figured tie the 2 quilts together, and I'm going to tie the other one together because there's another sister in the batch. So make sure your right side is facing out when you put it against your fabric. Okay, so just like that. Hopefully you understand what I'm talking about. Make sure you actually have enough for it to fit within that white zone. Okay, or your zone, whatever you're designated. I wanted to mix of the gray and the white because, you know, wind and sun and sand and rain and whatever. Okay, so our next color that we need to do is dark purple that I've added here. We'll use this one because I only had so much. This is actually a leftover dress shirt from my husband, so I was trying to incorporate a little bit of family within the quilt block to send, because this is a quilt from one of my nieces. So you line it up, okay, and you have to put it up to the light to see, to make sure you're doing it right. Give yourself a little, the 1/4 inch seam allowance that you normally would. So hopefully, can you see that? I don't know if that helps at all, but it is above, helps if I show you on the right side, 3/4 or 1/4 of an inch above the line that I need to sew, right there. Okay, and then we're going to sew across that line, and then flip and trim and all that sort of fun stuff, just kind of like we did last week, but different. This is a different box. I find this one easier, actually. When I was looking at it, I thought, oh, good gravy, Lord, and what you get yourself into. But it's easier than the ducks than last week. Or either that, the ducks really prepared me for this week. That's okay. You gotta learn something new every day. Alright, so, and what we do is we want to trim that little excess off. Okay, but now we need to do section number 3. So I find it easiest to fold along this line, your little line that you're gonna, is your representation of your edge for your next section of fabric, okay? And then this is where you got to trim. I know it's a lot of back and forth, but really in the end it makes such a pretty little block, and it really didn't take too much time. It's just a little fiddle here and a little fiddle there. So make sure you use a ruler that you can see your allowances in your edges and stuff like that. So you want to give yourself a 1/4 inch seam allowance, okay? And then fold that back over. And then I have this as diamond fabric. What did I do with mine? Here we go. And this is what I was calling diamond fabric, just because it was easier for me to put that in my brain. Okay, so I want to line that up like we were doing. I'll show you again. Helps if it's held up against the light, if you can see that. But you just go right above the line that you need, okay? Can you see that? Hopefully you can. Okay. I'll take some still photos, maybe, and that would help. And you just want to sew along that line. And then stop right as it comes to you for doing 4, because you don't want to put your stitches into that section, because you're just gonna mess it up. Okay, so fold it back. See, slowly coming together. See, it's coming together. So we want to fold on that little line for 4, back, and give this a little trim. This is where a Lazy Susan cutting board would come in handy. And if you can't find one, it's easy enough to make one. Especially if you have a leftover mat, just get a Lazy Susan and glue the sucker out of that and pop it on. There you go. So now I have, instead of this, it says pink on here, but I have black. Where's my black? Okay, I'll use this one. So I'm putting that on there. I'm holding it up so you can see that it's just above the line, about a 1/4 inch, your seam allowance. That's how you know which way you're sewing, is because you're sewing on the right side. It says it's printed. It says patterns are the reverse of the finished block. So it just teaches you how to do it right. It's not going to mess you up. Okay. So there's the black. Okay. See, we're getting there. Slowly but surely. Not slowly, but we're getting there. Okay, so then number 5. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat again. I'm just going to twist. Okay, well, I'm never going to finish trimming the block when it's all done. But unfortunately, as you're going along here, you do actually have to trim, or you're just then going to sew up extra bulk underneath, and you don't want that. So this I had is light purple, which is this very pretty one right here. Okay. Make sure you have enough to clear the top of this as it's folded over again. Okay, because as it comes over here, you have to make sure it's clearing the top. You don't want to have to resew that. Don't be stingy with your fabric. If you didn't learn that last weekend project, I learned it this one. Because I've already had taken it out twice. I mean, really, Lola? Seriously? How many lessons did I learn this? Okay, so back to sewing the more funner parts. And that's one done. We got one more to do, and we're kaputz. See? And then it's just a trim. Okay? I'll move this over here. And we're just going to trim the whole block up. Okay. And I rough cut my pattern pieces. Of course, my rotary blade is just screaming at me because, of course, I'm using paper on my lovely fabric blade. But I have other blades, and I figured after this project, I will label it as paper piecing blade because it is a new blade. All right, and then make sure you nip off those little corners because you don't need them. And there we go. And we're going to give it a quick little press. Okay, so I have it set right here. Quick little press-a-roni. Just kind of set all those little seamies. Okay, there we go. Now for the second one. Okay, so that is that one. Okay, well, that one. But now for the last. Now we're going to sew them all together, like I said. And you end up with little bits and bobs and all over the place. I said some you're going to toss away and some just use for reuse. You'll find a use for it. Or donate it to your actually, what did I think of? I thought of a nice little group the other day that would probably use some scrap fabric. Sunday school. The little kids in Sunday school. Why not? You never know. Okay, so I'm just going to trim this down a little bit. And this is for number 2. It was red. So I will go there. Line it up. And just repeat. You got 5 little seams and then we're done. We're done to black. Okay. fold. And it's just a repeat, repeat, repeat. And fold, turn, trim. Alright, and then this was flower, which is this what I chose for the flower. Okay. Oops. It's flipped over there. That's not going to look right. And I made sure to choose a big piece so it would cover all that I needed it to cover. Okay, so line up your seams, a stitch, quick little back stitch. Remember, we got 6 more blocks after this. Okay. So number 4. So that is supposed to be black, I believe. It's not. We'll find out shortly because I'll have to redo it. Alright, one more seam after this one. Okay. I believe it should be dark purple. Okay. So that's right there. Okay, so that we go folded. And trim all this excess off. I know it seems tedious now, but it's not. It's really not. I mean, just set the time aside. You can do it. Make something pretty. You know you wanna. You know you wanna make something pretty. You wanna make something pretty. Alright. Last seam. Trim, and then we're done. Okay. Actually, I'm going to press it and then I'll trim it. Okay. And you could use just white fabrics where I have the white and the gray. You could use black. You could use exactly what they had in the block itself, which they had teal and red and all sorts of other colors. I mean, it wasn't within my theme that I wanted, so, you know me, I'm a rebel. I do what I want. But I'm trying to follow the blocks as best possible because it's the design that I'm looking for, right? You know, I could have appliqued those ducks, or as my sister-in-law said, she made me laugh. She said she would have just bought some iron-ons and stuck them on. It cracked me up. I'm like, she could do it. You have to kind of know what you're getting into before you get into it, I guess. So if you know it's going to take you 20 minutes to make one block and you're a 2-minute block kind of person, maybe paper basing isn't for you. Okay. So there we go. Look at that. Well, actually, I think it goes that way, right? Yes? Yes. So we're going to sew those two together. Now they're all freshly pressed. And then we're going to sew these two together. This should give us the half like that one. And then we have, surprise, a block. And if any of these blocks, because it didn't say exactly what block size they were all turning out to be. Their first one was 13.5 by 13.5. I'm going to put just a border around whatever it needs to be to equal the 13.5 for the original first block. So that's all it's going to happen. I'm assuming they're all 13.5 by 13.5, but because I've seen a couple of them and they've listed it like that, but not all of them say it. So there we go. There's our 2 halves. And we're going to put those 2 halves together. Okay. So just a little press, finger press, finger press. That's correct. Correct. And we are almost done. I kid you not. It didn't take too much time at all. And you have to be, you know, forgiving on yourself. If you've never paper piece before. I mean, really, this is on my second time, or third time, because the second time would have been a duck. But for one quilt that I did, it was gemstone. It was one of the kits I got. And it was my first experience of paper piecing. I thought it was going to go crazy the first time around, to tell you the truth. Alright, so there's the one half. And then the second half. And we're going to sew those together. And then you peel all the paper off, okay? If you need to pop a few pins in here to make sure your centers are super centered, then, you know, please do. And I think I will, because I just want to be that meticulous today. Because it seems like everything else I've touched has either fallen over, collapsed, or kaputzed. So, all my threads, my sewing machine threads, have now hit the floor over there. One of the blocks, or one of the quilts I was working on, or am working on, putting the quilt top together, it's called Candy Cane. All the blocks and knickknacks are all dumped over there now. Besides, I got some cleaning up to do. So you're just lining them up. My dear folks, my sewing buddies and gurus, is isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty block? I love it. It's actually turned out way better than I thought. My goodness. Actually, I may make more of these, but not for this quilt. Stick with the plan, Laurelyn. Stick with the plan. All right. So thanks everybody for sticking around for block number 3, Sparkle Star 1223 of this booklet, just in case you didn't know. There we go. That's the one to look for if you want to sew along. Please do. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share with your buddies. Stay tuned for block 4 next week. Don't forget to check out Lawn on Wednesday. Bye. Be good.